Super. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join me today. I know it's late in the evening and it is a working day. Um, Good to have you all here, and I'd love to know how many of you have attended some of my webinars before and how many of you are new. Could you just let me know in the chat window, maybe? Okay. Oh, wow. I have someone who's attended all of them till now. Super. Okay, so we have a good mix of people who've attended before and some of you who are newcomers. So what I'll do for the benefit of the newcomers, I'll give you a very quick introduction about myself, and then we'll jump into the topic today, which is about creating a kick-ass portfolio, because that's the first thing that you as a content creator need to you know make an impression on your client. And interestingly, just before this call started, I just sent out my portfolio to another new client I had a conversation with. This is a company based in Canada, and they reached out to me yesterday. We had a quick conversation, and they're like, "Can you send us like some samples of your work, etc., etc." And I just pressed send before letting you all into the waiting room, right? So no matter how long you've been in this field, whether you're a beginner or you've like worked for like 17 years like I have, you still have to send out a portfolio. So this is a very, very important session, and I hope you will take away insights from this that you will implement and create a nice portfolio for yourself, right? With that, I also want to check how many of you are beginners and how many of you have been working as a content writer for a few years. If you're a beginner, let me know that in the chat. If you are experienced, then let me know the number of years experience that you have. Okay, so I see a few beginners. Okay, a lot of beginners. Okay, cool. So, okay, finally, I have a 1.5 years experience. But if you're a beginner also, don't worry what I'm talking about. I'll also tell you how to figure this out in the context of a beginner, and how do you create a portfolio even if you've not done any work. So, okay, we do have a few experienced folks also. So this will help you boost up your portfolio and make it a bit stronger. Cool. So what I'm going to do is share my screen and get started on this. Second. Um, okay. I hope you guys can see my screen. If yes, a few thumbs up might help. And if not, let me know so I can figure out the logistics of that. All good? You guys can see it? Brilliant. Okay, awesome. So, first of all, those of you who are new and who have just attended the webinar, there are a few things that you might also want to check out. There is a free 30-day email course that is available on this link. I'll share these links towards the end of the webinar also. It's basically you go to this link, you sign up there, and every day an email will land in your inbox that talks about some important things that highly paid content writers need to think about and implement, right? So over 30 days, you'll get one email a day, and hopefully I have got good feedback on the course. I hope you will like it too, and it will help you in some way on your journey as a content writer. Okay. There is some free learning content on my YouTube channel as well, so you can check that out. And there is an Instagram page also that might um, help, give you some insights on at least what I think of content writing. Yeah. And just to give you a context of what makes me an expert in this and why am I sitting on this side of the table and talking to you about how you can enter the highly paid club, is because I've spent 17 years doing something like this, and I've built two companies, um, both marketing agencies, which we started from scratch, from zero revenue, scaled it to multi crores in revenues. I have personally worked with 60 B2B and B2C clients, and they have obviously helped contribute to the growth of both of these companies. I've been featured in a lot of different places. I have been on the client side as well. So from these 17 years experience, eight I spent working on corporates. So I really know what is it that the clients want, right? Um, from content writers they hire, any freelancers they hire, what is it that they're looking for? So we have, like, I have that angle plus the experience of running two agencies. So I know what are challenges that we face, what are the kind of things that agencies or freelancers need to look at to be really, you know, top of mind for the client so that people who they have not even spoken to in years will come back and say, this is the person that you need to work with, right? So that's what brings me here to talk to you about how do you create something that impresses your clients, okay? So that, is a question to you as well, right? Why do we need a portfolio? If you can let me know in the chat window, that'll be awesome. Why do we need a portfolio? Any thoughts? To give samples, to showcase our work, to present credibility to the client, yes. Anyone else? To showcase expertise, yes. For people to know our potential, interesting. To build trust, to let clients know our tone and style, okay. To create a sense of confidence, to get good work, yes, to create a good first impression, to present our work and experience. Brilliant. All of these are valid answers. And this is basically me summing up what you just said, right? In various ways, that the objective of a portfolio is basically to do these three things, okay? To showcase your skill, your expertise, and your proven results to potential clients. Now, the beginners might be wondering, I don't have any proven results, what am I supposed to showcase? So don't worry, I'll come to that as well in later part of this webinar. But essentially, this is what a portfolio does for you. Because um, just out of the blue, a client is not going to agree and say, okay, I'll give you work and see what you can do. They want some document that gives them the confidence that, yes, giving an opportunity this person is worth my time and effort, right? Because if you send back something to them, it is also going to take them time to review, to evaluate, etc., and they don't want to be blindsided, right? So portfolio is a very, very important document, and like I just said, every prospective client will ask for your portfolio. Like, no matter how long you have been in the business, this is a document that's not going anywhere, okay? It will just continue to evolve as you grow. Okay. So another question for you guys, which is sort of similar to what I just asked. What can a good portfolio do for you? So let me know in the chat window. What do you think a good portfolio can do for you? And those who have had experience, can you tell me the times when a client asked for a portfolio and then what happened after that? I'd love to hear that as well. It gets you work, gets you referrals, gets you a job, it opens avenues. Um, Potential customers to clients, yes. Convinces the clients, fetch the clients, get more clients based on our work, yes, to all of that. So here are the three things that I feel that a portfolio does for you, okay? First is that it wins the trust of potential clients and it gets you more business because they now, once they see what you've done for other people or just like as samples, they feel that, yes, this person can deliver what I'm looking for, right? Um, and I'll tell you how many times I ask people for portfolios because I actively recruit writers as well, right, to deliver on my projects to my clients. And I get personal blogs and stories and all sorts of random things which are nowhere related to what I want them to do, right? And when I get those kind of things, it doesn't tell me that you can do what I want. Okay. So that trust and if that trust and confidence is not built, then there is a reluctance in the client's mind to say, let me give work to this person because Nobody wants to waste time, right? The only reason clients are looking to outsource this is because they don't have the bandwidth to do it themselves, right? So our objective, first and foremost objective, is not to waste their time. So your portfolio has to be really crisp, really clear, and really showcase that, hey, this is why you need to give me work. Okay. Which brings us to the second point, that it demonstrates the quality of your work and basically it establishes a base to pitch for higher value work, right? So anytime um you send a portfolio and say, okay, this is what I've done, and people see that you've done a lot of good work with a lot of good brands and for great results, they know that you're not going to come cheap, right? So all those conversations about take 1 rupee per word, or write a whole web page for just $1,000, all those conversations go out of the window because they know quality doesn't come cheap. Okay. And finally, it provides the client who reached out to you with something that they can share internally with final decision makers. Again, a conversation I just had. Okay. So this person who reached out to me for work was someone I worked with like 10 years ago in one of my previous companies, okay? And we were not in this, even in the same team, okay? But even 10 years later, when he's looking for a content person, he reached out to me saying, okay, let me reach out to Supriya because she was amazing when she did that work in that company, okay? And when he reached out to me, he said, listen, I've joined this company very recently, so I will have to share something to the people who have already been there. Can you send me your portfolio? Okay. And that's why we finished the call at 8:30, 8:40. I had sent him the portfolio. Okay. Because now he has something he can share internally with final decision makers and the things can move quickly. So this is what effectively having a ready portfolio does for you. Okay. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, okay, just keep them ready later towards the end of the session. I will answer like all the questions that you have. Cool. Okay. So what does a kick-ass portfolio look like? Yeah. According to me, it has 5 key things. One is a cover letter or a message that one second, I'm just checking the chat window as well. Okay, there's nothing there. Cool. So, one is it needs to have a cover letter or message that outlines your value proposition. Okay. So basically, you can send this as an email, you can send this as a LinkedIn message, you can send it as a WhatsApp message, whatever that is, a small note that clearly outlines what you bring to the table and why should they go ahead and open the document, which is the portfolio that you're sending to them. Okay. It should also definitely have samples of your work that and these samples should not be just random things. Like I said, I get so much rubbish, honestly, with portfolios that I'm to some extent sick of looking at them. But they should be relevant samples, okay? And samples that show your versatility as a writer. And I noticed somebody in the chat window had said that so the clients get familiar with your tone and style, okay? But here's a very, very important thing about being a ghostwriter, being writing for other companies. Your tone, your style doesn't matter. Okay, how you write for your clients, how you're able to adapt to the tonality of your clients is what matters. Okay, which is why versatility becomes important. Can you write serious? Can you write funny? Can you write thought provoking? Can you write engaging? Can you write conversational? Right. So, what are the different ways you can help clients convey the message? Because every brand is going to have a different personality. Right. So, those samples should showcase versatility both in terms of tone and style and also in terms of kind of assets you can create. Yes, you can totally be, I'm only a long form content writer, or I'm only a social media writer, or I'm only an email writer. That's great if that's your thing. But if you're pitching yourself as a general content writer, then it makes sense to include samples of various types of things. That here's a blog, here's a case study, here's a brochure, and these are different kind of things that I have done. So they can, for example, decide, okay, for now I don't want to go with this person, but maybe I have this other requirement. Maybe I can use them for that one because that's fitting better, right? So it should have some versatility, okay? It should also have your bio to showcase your expertise, which is, who you are, a little bit of personality and things like that, which I will also talk about a little bit later. It should have testimonials and social proof, okay? That how other people have benefited from your work and what they have to say about working with you, because this is a game changer. If you have great testimonials, you will get more business. Okay, so every time you finish work with a client, you should always ask for testimonials as well, and definitely your contact details. How can they reach out to you? Yeah. Um, so we'll go through each of these five one by one, and first we'll start with a value proposition. Okay. Um, can someone tell me what is a value proposition? Let me know in the chat window. It's like a USP, unique selling proposition, what you can deliver. Okay. Anyone else? What quality you can bring to their project? What makes you unique from others? Yes. What makes you different? It's larger than a monetary value. What you bring to the table? Yes. Well, that is correct in a way. Okay. Um, so it is all of that, right? What is your value, right? Because this, we are doing a transaction here, right? You are giving them something and they are paying you in return. Okay. Now, unfortunate truth is that today we live in the age of AI. Okay. So if it was only stringing words together, AI can do it better than you or I. Okay. So what do you bring to the table that is better than that? Okay. What is the value that um that makes them interested in engaging with you? Okay. So it basically tells the client why should they choose you? Why should they choose you versus doing it in-house? Why should they choose you versus giving it to any other content writer? Why should they choose you versus doing it with AI? Okay. So that's a new equation that has been added. Now, there are many, many different ways in which you can define your value proposition, right? You can say your quality is better, your efficiency is better, your cost is better. Now, most of the writers I speak to end up competing on the cost part. Okay. They um they sort of say, okay, they send a quote, the client said, no, this is too high. Then they'll say, okay, you tell me what it is. And they come down to those 1 or 2 rupees a word, right? Initially, when I started this content collective, I did a survey and I asked people how much do you charge per word. And 58% of the people charge less than 2 rupees a word, which is an insane pricing, okay? Because you're writing thousands of words and really not getting any money out of it. Now, this is what I tell everyone, okay? Don't compete on cost, compete on value, okay? And the example I want to tell people is you don't want to be a vegetable vendor on a Sunday market, okay? And this is a funny story which I keep laughing at my mom about. We were coming back from our from somewhere, and on the roadside there's this old lady selling coconuts, okay? And my son was also in the car and he wanted coconut water, so we stopped. Okay, we were five people in the car, so my mother went down and she said, because I was driving, so my mom got down and she said, okay, we want five coconuts. And I think the old lady said it's 40 rupees a coconut or something like that, or 30 rupees, whatever that is. And my mother insisted that she reduce 5 rupees per coconut. Okay. That 5 rupees is not making any difference to us. Okay. Like 25 bucks less would not make a dent in anything, you know, in our budget, versus that 25 rupees means a lot to that old lady sitting on the roadside. But because the mentality is that because she's sitting on the roadside, you have to bargain, and people grow up with that mentality. So my mother is busy negotiating with her. Of course, it's different that I Paytm the price that the vendor asked for, and my mom was super angry with me about it. But the idea is that if you position yourself as a vendor sitting in a Sunday market and just, willing to give away your offerings at dirt cheap prices, people will haggle, people will negotiate, people will want to bring down your prices. Okay. And the same people, when they walk into a food hall or a big supermarket, know that there is no scope for negotiation, right? They know what they're paying for. They're paying for the ambience, they're paying for the experience, they're paying for the, I don't know, air conditioning. And therefore, they don't like, They don't negotiate. Whatever is the MRP listed, you pay that and you come back. Okay. You might search for some discounts deals, but you will never go to the cashier and say, oh, but can you do 10 rupees less and all of that, because you know that that's not going to happen. So same way, as a content writer, you don't want to be someone, you don't want to make it a transaction which comes down to haggling. And therefore, every time you say, I'll charge per word, that's what it ends up being. Okay. Because if I write an article for my clients today, like a 1,500 word article, I charge 85,000 rupees. Okay. I don't know how much that is per word. But if I were to say, you know, this is what if I divide that like 85,000 by 1,500 and I tell people this is how much I want to charge per word, they're going to be like, what? Are you nuts? That's a lot of money, right? Because they'll think, oh, she's going to write and is the, and all those words are also counted. It just becomes like a very horrible kind of discussion. Versus the value proposition is, I'm going to write an article which is not going to look out of place from your CEO's desk, right? Even the big publications like Forbes, etc., will be willing to publish it, right? So that is the value they want. Because if they go to other content writers, it goes into an endless iteration loop. Their senior leadership doesn't like what the other writer has written. Media publications are unwilling to publish, multiple revisions happen, and it's a pain for them. So therefore, my value, they're willing to pay me more money because they know things will go through in one or two iterations at max. Okay. And if there's a third iteration, on principle, I don't charge them for it. I said, no, I will refrain from charging that amount. So that's the kind of value that I have built in for the clients. Okay. So this is what you have to decide. What is the value that you bring to the table and how do you showcase that to clients through your portfolio and through consistent interactions and living that value also. Okay. So this is in a nutshell some of the value that I bring to my clients. Now, all of that is not written down in my portfolio, but in every interaction that I do with them, this is what is showcased, right? So I can think like a CEO, I can shape ideas and words that don't feel out of place from their desk. I often know as much as the subject expert and I help them identify what is it that they should talk about. I write great content that is error-free, relatable, engaging. It can shift smoothly between tones and styles of different people, different leaders. I deliver on time every time. And if there is an unforeseen event, because life happens to all of us, right? I keep my clients updated. If I'm not able to go through with it, I find them other people who can deliver the work as and when needed, right? And my work barely needs one round of feedback, if any. And then, which is why I was able to help clients close deliverable faster and to the subject expert satisfaction. So when I showcase this, it becomes, easy for clients to say, okay, yes, let me work with Supriya. Okay. So this is a cover letter that I send out. You can maybe take a screenshot if you like. It's a very simple, quick thing. You can make it longer if you don't know people. And if you will notice in this cover letter, um, I start with thank you for your time today because I feel it's very important for you to have a conversation with your potential client before you send it to them, right? Because the minute you have a conversation, people are able to attach a name, like a face and a voice to your name, and that again builds a relationship. Okay. And when you have a call, you can also clarify a lot of things in terms of what is it that they want, right? So have a quick call. Um, I know sometimes it might be difficult to get their time, so which is fine. But even a 5 minute call is going to be great because that builds recall in their head also. A lot of people get a lot of emails every day, right? So it's very easy to get lost in that deluge of emails that these people get. And if you get those 5 minutes also to have a conversation, your portfolio gets like that much higher chance of being looked at. Okay. So, hey, thank you for your time today. As discussed, I'm sending my portfolio for reference. And in a nutshell, I've been a content and communication specialist for so many years. I've successfully delivered content assignments for so and so clients. My clients prefer me too, and this is where you add your value proposition, okay? So I will say like the CEO thing and all of that. And with my expertise in content creation, I've been able to do XYZ. Okay, like get my clients published in Forbes or VentureBeat or wherever, right? And I'm excited about working with whatever their company is, and I'm sure I can deliver content that aligns with your brand and business goals. Thank you, and let me know if you need anything else, right? And I look forward to your response. That's pretty much it. So a simple cover letter and an attachment would be a great starting point. So the next bit is what samples should you include? Any questions till now? Anything? You can put it in the chat window and can maybe quickly take a question or two. Portfolio is necessary for resume or not? If you're looking for a job as a content creator, either a job or a freelancing opportunity, yes, you need a portfolio. Can you share a sample of creating a portfolio? I'll show you mine in a little bit. Okay. 1 second. I seem to have lost the... When to send the cover letter, before discovery call or after? After the discovery call. Mm, okay, what are the aspects which the content writer checked? I'm not sure what that question means. What format do I send my portfolio? It's a PDF document, which I'll show you. Being a fresher, how do you proceed? That I'll talk about. Will you share a recording? Yes. Okay, let me go back to this. 1 second. And okay. So once you've sent the cover letter, the next question is obviously what sample should you include, right? So, as I said, there should be versatile, lot of different types of samples, ones that are relevant to the industry that you're pitching to. Okay, so if you're sending stuff for banking, try so even now, even after so many years, if I'm sending sample to somebody who's in banking, I'll send something that is relevant to banking. If I'm doing something which is healthcare related, I'll send healthcare related samples. If I'm doing something which is related to employer branding, I'll send samples according to that, right? So they should be relevant to the industry that you're pitching to. They should demonstrate how you can write in different tonalities and on different channels. So like I said, like one sample each of these should suffice. They should also be ones that showcase your best work, but an important ask is that they should be ones of work that you can replicate consistently. I cannot tell you how many times I've got amazing samples from people, and I was like, oh my God, this person writes so well. I have sent them work and they have returned rubbish to me. Okay, because they were not very honest and authentic in the samples they shared. They never said, okay, I wrote the first draft, but somebody else sat on it and edited it, right? Because typically in companies, etc., there'll be a team that is working. One person is writing, one person is editing, one person is doing QC, etc. So you should only send samples of work that you can deliver consistently on your own, or have that tone, the team kind of thing in the background who can make sure that the quality is maintained. Okay. And if you have anything published online in media websites, etc., that is also would be great, because then people know that your article, this is also social proof, right? That whatever you wrote was deemed worthy by these websites to be published. Okay. And again, this is industry specific. So for example, I write for tech. Okay. And I have my own personal bylines published on the World Economic Forum, which is the biggest gathering of government and corporates in the world, right? And the most prestigious. So anytime I tell a client that I have 3 articles published on World Economic Forum, they know that I can deliver the quality that their CEOs will need to get published in any other media outlet, right? Similarly, if you're writing for lifestyle, if you can say, hey, I got some column published in Femina or any of these other lifestyle magazines or health and wellness magazines, then they'll know, okay, if your work is good enough to be published here, then it's good enough to be, used for their business as well. And this takes a little bit time, like getting your work published in online media, websites, etc. But what you need to do is go do a bit of research online, right? Just ask Google, what are the online publications in this sector, okay, that accept guest blogs or guest publications, right? It'll give you a list. Then go to the website of each of these, see what are their requirements for accepting guest publications, right? Some of them have very clear outlines on what is it that they want from a guest post. Then write an article based on that and send it to them. Um, Turnaround time could be 3 to 4 months as well, right? So you have to do it consistently over time to build up a repository of 5, 6 articles that have been published in various platforms, and then you can stop it, right? Like the last time I wrote for a media article for a media company, like to publish my byline was in 2016, right? Till then, I had a good repository of articles that were published in multiple places. So I said, okay, now this is done. I don't really need to actively um, continue publishing here, and I still use those links and those logos to say my work has been published here. So once you put in the effort, it stays in your portfolio forever. Okay. So if you have the time, if you have the bandwidth, please do try and get your work somewhere that's relevant to your target audience. Okay. Now, in terms of samples, what not to do, right? Um, Very important, don't send hundreds of samples, right? I once got, in fact, not once, it has happened many times. People will send me a Google Drive link. Okay. First of all, you click on that link, you have to request access. You get access, then you will see like some 20, 30 folders and labeled randomly. And then when you go to each and every folder, there'll be like a long list of stuff that is there. I don't have that much time. No client has that much time, right? So you send links of those 5, 6 things that you feel will be relevant for the client to look at, and just send that. They are not going to sit and read everything that you send them. Okay. They just want to take a quick look at, is it making sense? Okay. So just include those 5, 6. Please do not send hundreds of samples or a Google Drive link that's just like a compilation of you've ever done in your life. Okay. Definitely don't send poems or personal journal entries, because we are doing uh, business writing, okay? And this is very different from personal writing. So getting personal journal entries doesn't tell the client anything about how good you are at business writing, which needs to be persuasive, which needs to like get the clients and customers take some action and things like that, okay? So you have to be like, this actually brings your value down because the client thinks they don't know what they're pitching for, okay? So don't include it. Even if you've written some amazing stuff personally, don't include it. Don't send samples with spelling, grammar issues, plagiarism, terrible formatting. All that again tells the client that they don't have an eye for details, so they might do the same for my work as well. Okay, so be very careful of what is going in your sample. Definitely don't include samples that contain another client sensitive information, right? Any IPs, anything that should not be out in the public domain. Because again, this tells the client, I can't trust this person. If I give them something about my business, they're going to go send it to someone else, right? So mask every time there's a name or something that is identifiable, which you don't have express written permission to share, mask it. Okay. Don't include samples that are not 100% your work, and don't include AI generated samples. Okay. Um, so that's the sample part. The next bit is, of course, creating a great bio. So basically, a bio shows who you are, what are your accomplishments, what are your capabilities. So give an interesting opening if you like. This is an optional thing, but it typically catches interest, right? That um, what is this person on about? Introduce yourself a little bit, your name, designation, what you do. Give a quick look at how you've delivered certain results, or where does your strength lie, some of the things that you're really good at. Showcase what you've done, the organization industries that you've worked with, places you've been featured in, we just talked about. You can include your education here, some role shifts that you might have done in the past, etc., etc., and give a glimpse of your personality. I feel this is very important, because ultimately, people do business with people. They're not doing business with some random resumes, okay? So things that you're passionate about, who you are as a person, where you're based, all of that also become conversation openers and build a better relationship. So this, I think, would be um, something you should include. Okay. So this is a quick look at my bio. It's a bit dated because 16 has changed to 17 now, but basically my first opening line is where all I'm featured in, right? So the minute I say TEDx, World Economic Forum, ET Now, I've covered like the three biggest platforms that are there. And people don't even want to read any further. They're like, okay, if she's been featured in these places, that means she has something to say, right? But I still give an interesting opening line, and I tell them that content is a lead gen gold mine, but not everyone knows how to mine it, right? And why you need content and how I can help, right? That Supriya has mastered the art of producing immersive, irresistible content that converts. Okay. Then I tell them, what have I done? I've been the voice of business leaders for 17 plus years. I've consulted so many companies. This is what I help them with. And I have been personally published on these topics, right? Then I give a personal glimpse of my son, my dog, what I love doing. And if they want to give a content a new lease of life, then drop me a line. Okay, so that's my bio that goes in my portfolio. Okay. So before I show you my portfolio, I know a lot of you are beginners. So what can you do if you're a beginner and you don't have any experience or samples to speak of? This is what my recommendation would be. And like I said, portfolio is a work in progress. Okay. It will keep building every time you get a new client, every time you do a new project, every time something interesting happens, something gets published, your years of experience get added, right? So it is a constant work in progress. It never stops. Okay. Sometimes you will feel that design has gotten outdated, so you want to add something else. Sometimes you've started a new service offering, so you want to add that. So all of that constantly needs updating. Okay. So as a beginner, this is how you start, right? First is create samples for the niche that you want to write in. Okay. So because you're a beginner, nobody's given you any work. So how do you showcase samples? So you take initiative. Let's say you want to write for a real estate brand, for example. Okay. You go to your potential target company's website, see what they're writing, see what is the quality of their writing, and say, okay, can I write this better? Take that topic, write a fresh new piece, and include that in the sample when you send them your portfolio. Okay, saying this is a topic that everybody in real estate is talking about, but everybody is saying boring stuff. Here's how I'm making it interesting for the target reader. Okay, so that way, create 2, 3 samples, and that becomes included in your portfolio, right? Second, which I already said, start pitching to media websites to get your article published. That strengthens your bio. That you don't need a client to do, you can do it for yourself. For your bio, sort of focus on your energy and enthusiasm to contribute, right? Talk about how content has always been very exciting for you, this industry, why you're interested in, and how you would love to do some work in this space. And along with this, give them an option to do a free project, okay, like a pilot project or a sample, which they only pay you if they use. Nobody says no to free work, okay? Again, to give you an example, when I started freelancing so 2015, I started my first company. In 2018, I quit it because my son was born and I didn't want to do the 10, 12 hours a agency life demanded. So I said, okay, I'll quit and I'll do freelancing till he grows up. So when I started freelancing, I did not have any clients and I needed to find clients that were not in my network because I left my previous company with a non-compete agreement that you can't reach out to people we've already worked with, which was literally everybody, okay? Everybody we knew. So I started asking people, okay, can you connect me to someone? Can you connect me to someone? And finally, I got a connect with a real estate company. Now, I know nothing about real estate. I don't even own a house. I can't, like, for the life of me, tell the difference between built up area or carpet area, okay? But when the real estate project came, um, they were like, have you done any work in real estate before? I hadn't, right? So I was a beginner in that field. So I didn't say, no, I haven't. I didn't say it as a finality. So I said, no, real estate has not been a place that I worked on before. But how about this? You give me a topic and I'll write you a free sample. You let me know if that works for you. And then based on that, we can take the project. Okay. So they gave me a topic. I did a lot of research and I wrote a good blog and I sent it to them. And they liked it so much that they gave me another 40 blogs to write. Okay. And that time, this was 2018, and it was my lowest paid project ever, but they paid me 3,000 bucks to write 700 words ka blog. Okay. That's still fairly reasonable compared to the 1 rupee, 2 rupee work that people tend to get. Why? Because my pilot project has like sort of impress them that, okay, even if we give her a topic which is not her expertise area, she can still turn it around, right? So that's, as a beginner in any space, you can offer to do the pilot. Okay. Similarly, another client at that time had asked me, have you done anything in semiconductors and AI? And I hadn't like specifically written on that topic. So I quickly went around, wrote a blog on, AI in semiconductors, just 400 words, converted it into a PDF and said that I haven't done anything, but this is something I just wrote for myself. I haven't really published it anywhere, but see if this is something that, works for you. And they really liked it. So they gave me the project also. So even if you don't have client samples, you can create samples on your own and send it out, but they have to be specific to the requirement for the industry that you're reaching out to. Okay. Um, for testimonials, you can do small samples for your peers and friends and family, and you can get them to comment on your writing or your work ethic, or these free projects that you're doing for a couple of people, you can get them to give you a testimonial, like agree to let them use your logo. Okay, this is what I did for my speaking thing, right? When I started, I wanted to set up a business where I get paid to talk as well. And initially, I did a lot of workshops for free. Okay. I spoke at Adobe Singapore, I spoke at General Electric, Hinduja, all of these big, big logos. I did all these workshops for free. Okay. And then I put all their logos in a presentation, which was my, okay, if you get Supriya to speak at your company, what can she bring to the table? So all of this work was free, but it was very important in building my portfolio as a speaker. And today, if somebody asks me to talk, I charge 50,000 rupees for 1 hour because I spent that effort in building that portfolio. All that work was for free. But you don't look at it as, okay, this is free work now. You look at it as, what is it contributing to my portfolio? Yeah, because then that will open bigger doors for you. So that, I mean, that's a mindset shift that you probably need to bring in to say, okay, how do I get more testimonials, more logos for myself? And like I said, as you build experience, keep updating your portfolio. Okay. Somebody asked this, right? How should you send your portfolio? And the reason I put that here is because a lot of people say, I want to build a website for my portfolio. You don't have to. You don't need a fancy website. In fact, for my company, last year, end of last year was when I actually put up a website after so many years of working as a freelancer and an agency owner. I did not have a website. Okay. Uh, and still I was doing crores of business because people don't care about your website. In fact, that might be a deterrent. Like somebody, you give a link to your website, people go there, they don't see a great website with a great UI UX because you built it yourself, and they'll say, oh, this is not good, because a lot of people judge a book by its cover, right? They'll see and they don't like it, so they don't want to explore further. So it's actually something that might affect your chances, in fact. So instead, send attachments, send Google Drive links, which is customized and accessible, send links of published work that you have within the mail body. These could be any links, right? And if you're doing samples for yourself, you can put them on Medium, WordPress, or any other blog sites as well. So just keep things very simple. This client that I'm talking about today, also, I just sent like couple of links in the email body. That's about it, right? Because um, I still believe in simple is the best. Make it as easy for the client to access as you can. And finally, you sort of put it all together. So I'll show you my portfolio, which starts with my value proposition, which is driving business with thought leadership. And I tell clients about what has changed in the industry, right? So I take them through this journey and I say, this is what your clients want. And therefore, they have, and this is what I love to say, the quote that I sort of live by, that the heart of every great brand is brilliant content. No matter what you do, everything, every go-to market is content driven. Okay. So then I explain to them what is thought leadership, why is it important for their business. I've given statistics, pointers, more statistics, and then we start talking about why we are important, right? That we have 30 plus years of cumulative experience as a team. We've curated great brand stories, and these are some of the clients that I've worked with. So this is a slide of all the logos that I've worked with. what can I deliver as services? So long form research reports, leadership branding, social media, blah, 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 all of that. Who am I? What do I do? So the profile I showed you, the testimonials from some clients, case studies of stuff that I have done, samples of work that I've done, and my contact details, right? So this is what my portfolio looks like. So I think I've answered some questions on what format do I usually send the freshers one. Uh, okay, I'm just quickly checking the chat window. Uh, okay, so there are a few questions I'll answer in a little bit. Um, But I hope this helped. Okay, so I'm just summing it up from a portfolio standpoint. Keep things simple, keep it easy for the client to access your work. Make sure that you're competing on value and showcasing your value proposition. Always try to have one conversation with a client before you send them any documentation to build more recall and build more relatability. And try and get your work published on media. Like nowadays, there's so many online publications. It's easy to get your voice out there. It could be any newspaper, magazine, just an online blog, some guest blogging somewhere. What we are looking at is why should they trust you? And social proof really matters, right? Like today, we don't even order food from Zomato without checking the reviews of some random stranger. So this is what it does. This is what the Zomato rating system looks like in terms of your portfolio, that how many other people have trusted you, right? So try and build that, and just remember that it's a work in progress. So now after you've attended the session, go back, look at all the work that you have done, and see how do I put it together in a nice, concise, cohesive way to send it to people in a moment's notice whenever they ask for it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now, is it okay if I talk about a program that I do for like 5 minutes and then I go to answer your questions? Is that fine? Yeah, okay. I see a few yeses. So I'm going to go ahead and reshare my screen. Okay, so this is one example of what we cover in the 8-week intensive program. Okay, because portfolios are very important. And since a lot of people don't have portfolios, this is one key component of this content writing program I run called the 8-week intensive, which has done like quite a bit for in terms of opportunities for participants. Because one of the reasons I started this program was because I did not have the writers I needed to build my agency. And then my business coach said, why don't you train them yourself? And the Content Collective was born, and this program was started. Now it's been running for 1.5 years now. And there are some people whose stories are available on YouTube that you can check out. And Sai, one of my very first students who's been working with me consistently since then, is also one of the mentors of this program, right? So I looked at a lot of things that um, I felt content writers are not really doing well on, and I designed the course around it, right? So basically, the course, and there's a ton of opportunity in the content writing space, even with um, AI being there. It's just, how do you tap into those opportunities, right? So how do you figure out um, leveraging those opportunities? And how do you actually write content that pays top dollar? Because I feel there's a big disconnect between what content writers do and what clients want, right? So how do you um, figure that out? What do clients want from you, and how do you deliver that on those expectations is a big part of that course. Because ultimately every business, and trust me, we are here for business, right? We are not doing content writing for fun. We want to make money from it, right? So if this is a business that you're doing, more than skill, it is about psychology. Okay. If you're able to convert clients, you can get the work done from anyone, right? You don't have to have a skill in order to make money. But that said, a lot of it, whether because I also started out as a content writer and now I'm doing a end-to-end agency, it's about the psychology of the client, right? So we talk a lot about that also. We of course cover how do you build your skill as a content writer. So in that, one of the questions that keeps coming up is research takes so much time? How do I write faster? Because when you're a content writer, your, the money is directly linked to the number of content pieces you can churn out, right? And how much of good pieces can you do in a month, right? You can maybe 20 articles, like I'm talking about quality articles which will pay you that high-end money, right? I'm not talking about writing 50,000 words a month, which pays you like 50 paisa, which is not what we want, right? So how do you research quickly and efficiently to churn out more stuff faster? How do you tell better stories? Because content has to engage, it has to convert, because that's what makes it more valuable to a client. And then, of course, this part of building a Kickass portfolio is covered because we'll give you assignments that you can use in your portfolio then. Okay. We'll also cover a tiny bit of how to find and convert clients because it's an 8-week thing. We've already crammed so much information in it. So we'll cover, I think, 1 or 2 sessions on how to find and convert clients. And finally, very, very important, how do you price your services, send quotations, sign agreements, and things like that, which makes it easy to run a freelance business. Okay, so this is what we're going to cover in the course. Um, so what you get is 18 recorded sessions. These are videos I recorded on each of these concepts. You get 4 live calls with me, 2 per month, but no matter which batch you are from, as long as I'm doing these calls, you can always join them. So there's no limit to this. Anytime you have a question, feel free to join the call and ask me those questions. On these calls, I'll also review your assignments if you like, if there is time, and give you live feedback on it. Okay. At the same time, you also get 16 live calls with the program mentors who've been a part of this program, who've absorbed the learnings, who've made money using these learnings. So they will coach you through the program as well because they know how to apply it in real life, right? You will also get a lot of recordings from all the previous batches. You'll get guides, worksheets. You'll be a part of this WhatsApp group where we share opportunities. You will get preference for writing opportunities, but I have to be very clear that it's a very democratic process, okay? In no way I guarantee that if you join this program, I'll give you work, okay? I haven't opened a staffing agency. What I do is I open opportunities. I tell people this is the opportunity. Are you interested? And and I ask for quotes and price, like, samples. If your samples and pricing matches what I'm looking for, then you get the opportunity. If you do a good job, I will keep you in mind for new opportunities. If you don't do a good job, I'll give you feedback. I'll try and coach you for 1 or 2 times. If you still don't pick up, then I stop sending work. Okay. So a lot of the onus is on you to apply the learnings and level up your writing to be considered for the opportunities. In fact, just before again this call started, I sent one opportunity to somebody I work with her a lot. So I sent her a number and I said, this is a friend who wants social media. I told her you will call her. Please do a reasonable pricing for her. Okay. So this person said, okay, great, I'll speak to her. And this person is a part of the cohort. So that way, there are preferences for writing opportunities, but totally depends on your capability. You will definitely get a lot of practice assignments to up your game, and you will get mentor feedback for all your assignments. So mentor feedback will be for all your assignments, and feedback from me will be on these live calls. So this is what we get in the program, and these are the modules. So we'll do goal setting, which I feel is a very, very important thing, and I feel people just don't do it enough. In fact, my life coach has me setting daily goals. Like, um, for whatever like my yearly goal is, I have to literally write it down every day so that we are, in accordance with the direction that I'm going in. We have a call every week. We have one meeting every month with different groups where we are all talking about our goals. And these are people who make millions of dollars every year in revenue, and they are hell bent on goal setting. In fact, last on 25th, I'm meeting this group of very high achieving women. And guess what is the session? Goal setting. Okay. We are figuring out what are our goals for this new financial year starting April, what we want to do from this April till next March end, right? So goal setting is super, super, super important. And that's why we're going to cover it as a beginning. We will get into understanding what are the writing challenges, right? Why is writing so difficult? We will talk about how do you understand intent of a writing piece? Like, what is it? Why am I writing? Now, what does this client want? So we get into the psychology part here, and how do you ask the right questions from the client to get the most information that will help you deliver the piece that they want. Okay. Then we'll dive into writing fundamentals. How do you structure a piece, things like that. Then we'll dive into research, storytelling. We will show you how to write different forms of content like email, social media, video script, blog, article, all that. Then we move to how to use all these samples that you've created to make a portfolio and find clients. And then finally, we talk about pricing, documentation, and ethics. So that's what the program outline looks like. And for the next batch, you will need to apply. Um, I'll send you this link in the chat window also. Once you apply, this is a no strings attached application. Okay. The only reason we ask you to apply is so that we can see if there's a fit, because this community is very nice. I love the people who are in, and I want that vibe from folks who are interested and willing to grow. So once you give the application, Fahim will call you or maybe somebody else from the team just to have a chat about what do we offer versus what you want and see if there's a fit. If there's a fit, then he will tell you what is the duration, course fee, timing, blah, blah, all the logistics details he will tell you. If you feel that works for you, you can sign up. If you feel it doesn't work for you, you are more than welcome to come for all of these webinars in any case, right? So I'll send you this link in the chat window, but that's pretty much what is the course all about. And now I'm going to go back to the Q&A. For the questions, please keep it to the session today. Just checking. Okay, one second. There are a lot of questions. I'm scrolling backwards. Are you providing online work? No. Being a fresher, how can we proceed with our portfolio? I hope that question got answered in that slide. What about a service proposal? So that's different. That is specific to what the client has asked you, right? So that I can't cover because that's like a lot of different things in it. Yes, your cover letter should change according to the client that you're sending to, right? So if I'm, like I said, if I am sending it to a healthcare client, when I talk about what are the various companies I work with, I will list out the healthcare companies. Or when I know that a client is looking for something which is um what matters to them the most, right? If they want speed, then I highlight that in the cover letter. If I know that they want quality, they've been struggling to find people who can write for their leadership, then I focus on that. So cover letter, definitely cover letter, portfolio, everything should change for different people. Okay. Is it okay to use a drive to share samples, or is there any way to recommend? I would prefer links in the email itself, but you can definitely add them in the drive and share. You can put up a blog on Medium or WordPress and you can share that as well. But I prefer individual links, like do the blog, but then take the individual link and put it in an email so clients only get those 5, 6 things that they want to look at, right? Specific length for a cover letter, keep it short and sweet. People don't have time, just maybe not more than 150 to 200 words. Um, can you elaborate on sales collateral? So the brochures, flyers, case studies, all these things are sales collateral where people actively use it to sell their products. Personality will include two. Okay, I did not understand this question, the personality one. If you can clarify, that'll be great. Why is bio in third person? Because when they share it internally, it becomes awkward to say, I am so and so, right? So it's better to write it in third person. So shareability isn't a concern. Um, but there's no hard and fast rule. If you prefer first person, you can do that. Typically, people tend to use third person. Uh, so I've already answered the medium question. Can you give some tips for beginners on how to write? So go to my YouTube channel. There are quite a few tips on how to write on that channel. And let me just share that link as well. Because today was about portfolio building. Okay, so there's not enough time to do this. But on that YouTube channel, you'll find some videos. So I'm sharing those links as well. Um, okay. Mhm. Okay. Notion is a great way, sure. Um, how to reach international clients. So again, how to reach clients is a whole different route, and um, I have a session on that. There will be I just did that actually for a closed group on finding clients. But let me reschedule that session for next month and you can join that and I'll tell you more about this. Um, can Canva help in building a portfolio? Yes, sure. Uh, I want to practice on some topics. Can you please give me some assignments to work on? Pick any topic. Like, I don't know what your industry or niche is, so me giving topics doesn't make sense. Go to, for example, if you write on healthcare, go to a healthcare website, see what blogs are they doing, take that topic, write on it, right? Um, okay, awesome. What about plagiarism? Plagiarism is 100% no. Never. Um, where to get a high paying client? So I'll talk about that in the session on finding clients, okay? I think a lot of these questions are repeat, so I'm just skipping those. Uh, yes, we'll teach how to acquire clients, and we have a course specifically on finding clients also. That's also an 8-week course. And if that's the one you want to join in your application form, you can mention that. Uh, uh, uh. As someone who can write versatile content, has done ghostwriting, what would be the best niche for a visible portfolio? Um, so then you can pick a high-paying niche like tech, finance, legal, all of these um, coaching are high-paying niches. So you can pick on that. Coaching, I think a lot of coaches are out there. They definitely need content all the time. Doesn't require that much expertise to write on also. So that could be one of the niches you can pick. Which platform is good for US client, Upwork or Fiverr? So I don't believe in these platforms, honestly. My take is always tap your network, tap your network. If you don't have a network, build a network. And that's what I'll talk about in the Finding Clients course. If you're new to technology, then don't chase it. You need some sort of background in tech to be a good tech writer. I'd love to have a session on pricing. Okay, I'll try and see if I can cover something, but for now, I next webinar I'm doing is also on AI. So if you guys want, definitely join that, how to be relevant in the age of AI. Um, Cool. So I think I've covered all the questions more or less. The questions on networks, finding clients is a different webinar. I'll definitely talk about that. Keep your eyes on that WhatsApp group or your emails. You'll get notifications on when that is happening. But I think for now, this is what it is. And I hope to see some great portfolios from you guys. And I hope to see some of you in the next batch of the 8-week intensive as well. So we can get to know each other more. Um, awesome. Thank you for being such an engaged audience and for listening to me for so long. Good night and have a great rest of the week. Take care. Bye.